RTD Live Talk, Detroit's #1 late night YouTube talk show. We are live for a Wednesday evening live stream. My name is Mike, the host of RTD Live Talk. I'm excited to be back for another live stream. I want to find out what's on your mind, as well as share with you a couple of interesting articles I came across that I think you guys will definitely find interesting. So I'm noticing that push to the word contactless in regards to interacting with other individuals in stores, as well as the payment method. So we're going to dive into that. But before I dive any further, as always, want to acknowledge any new viewers to the channel. Let me know where you're watching from, and I'll definitely love to acknowledge your presence. And then, as always, once I open the phone lines up, curious to hear from you guys, because the whole idea of the show is to actually get a chance to connect and hear your voice and hear what's going on in your neck of the woods. So that being the case, welcome to the live stream. So give me a second. As always, anybody who is watching, feel free to let me know where you're watching from in the chat. We have the usual individuals that love going back and forth in the chat. And then we have those that like to remain behind the scenes, come from behind the scenes and just give us a shout out. Let us know where you're watching from. Would definitely love to welcome you. And so let me see. We got Philman. We got John, Colorado. We got Tony in the building. We got John, the 10th man from San Antonio. We got John from Colorado, John, Colorado, okay, from Aurora, Colorado. We got Truth or Nothing. We got Ed from Fort Worth. We got Breakout from the Prison Planet. From, where is that from? Breakout from the Prison Planet from North Alabama. Book Addict. I would like to hear your opinion or option. Your option, Joe Jorgensen from the Libertarian Party. Oh, okay, so I can definitely share my thoughts on that. I actually have not even paid attention much to the whole Libertarian Party, so I wouldn't know much about it, but I would like to hear your thoughts on it and also share it with the audience. And so as usual, we're giving that 2-tier. That third option typically really doesn't get much plug in the presidential campaign front. So I'm curious to find out, though. Definitely want to learn something. We got Blunt News from Toronto. We got Max Richie from Perth. Okay. We got Stephen from Oregon. All right, so we got a good amount of people here. Appreciate you guys joining us. And as always, make sure you guys let me know whatever stories you come across in your neck of the woods, and we can definitely talk about it and share it. Jeremy, how you doing, my friend? Morgan, yeah, that is close to me. Okay, so I'm going to start with some articles that it's mainstream news. And so I couldn't help but see, I see more commercials and I see all types of things that's geared towards the whole idea of continue to promote the agenda of fear on top of fear, utilizing this whole mask situation. So I'm hearing more and more stories of individuals out here being harassed, being assaulted by the other individuals. And you have people who've actually bought into it 100% without even questioning anything, terrorizing people who question it. So it's going to come to a point where we're going to hear more stories about individuals getting into confrontation with individuals. And of course, everyone has a cell phone. So everything I've seen has come from people actually having a phone in their hand, confronting somebody, telling them how wrong they are. And then to make it even worse, I think it's the governor of Colorado, if I'm not mistaken. My people from Colorado let me know. But I want to say the governor mentioned about how, I think it was quotations of him being quoted as saying that people who do not wear a mask are selfish. I think he said bastards, if I'm not mistaken, or selfish people or something like that. So, once you're considered selfish for not following suit, that's when they're getting a little bit out of hand with this. So, yeah, but I'm going to talk about this a little bit. Barlight Broker, bro, the chain has your name on it. I appreciate that. I love offering for the chain, for the weight around my neck, my man. I appreciate that. And so here's an article here. And I was thinking about, okay, so it's unfortunate that our options are limited because a lot of the small businesses around the country, small grocery stores or whatever, have been impacted severely to where a lot of the stores may have closed down, to where we're forced primarily to utilize these big box stores for primarily groceries. But I want to get your guys' thoughts on how to put up some resistance to this, because it's one of those things you can comply and be subject to having to wear a mask, even though you may not fall for it. But if you want to go in these stores, you're going to have to wear something. And I think there's a way around this, but we got to figure out how to get that done. And a lot of it has to do with basically just boycotting some of these stores, especially Walmart, out of all places, because Walmart, has taken advantage of. Oh, I got the wrong screen up here. Give me 1 second. Let me pull the screen up here. All right, so article here. 11 chains, including Walmart, Kroger, and Kohl's, are now requiring customers to wear masks. Here's the full list. And so I think Myers, one of the stores I've been in recently, that really been strict about it. But all the stores we've depended upon living in cities, or even if you're outside of cities, you usually drive into the city for these stores. So we got Walmart, Sam Club, Costco, Best Buy. I mean, who shops at Best Buy anyway? Best Buy should have been out of business. Starbucks, not a fan. Apple Store, whatever. Dollar Tree, okay. Menards, American Eagle, who goes? Kroger, that's my spot. Kohl's, don't like them. So I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts on this push for all major retailers to go mask. I'm going to say masks or to require mask. What do you guys think about that? How have you received that? Have you put up some resistance? Have you found some funny ways of getting around that, or what? I'm curious to hear what you guys think. And then, as always, feel free to ask questions in general. So I see a question by Greg. It says, how much higher do you think silver will go? And so once again, silver has no cap as far as how high of a nominal price it can go, just because it's every ounce of silver and gold, copper, platinum, palladium will give account to all the digital dollars and digital all currencies, digital and paper currencies at some point. So it's more so, how astronomical can the price actually be? And that's where I wouldn't want to throw out any figures, but we know based upon the U.S. debt clock models, I think right now gold is $30,000 and silver is $3,000 or something like that, if you factor in all the current money supply that we know about. And that's the problem is there's a lot of currency we have no clue about. So anyway, so let's get a call here. We'd love to hear your voice on this matter or whatever else you guys want to talk about. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mike. How you doing? This is Steven. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good, my man. How you doing? What's your thoughts on this mass situation or whatever else is on your mind?
Well, this is just something that I came across today, and it's funny how the tables turn. Mm-hmm. I was at Target earlier today, and I saw a Muslim family mm-hmm. get out of their vehicle, and I thought about how, and the wife, she had on a full hijab, mm-hmm. Face covering. Yeah. And I thought about how it was just a few short years ago, where people were terrified when they were in places like Walgreens and Walmart, and they saw a woman wearing a hijab, all mm-hmm. black, and they were terrified because they thought she might be carrying a bomb. And it was funny because everyone had face masks on, but she didn't have to have a face mask on because her face was already covered by her hijab. It's amazing how the world has a way of making fun of us Americans.
Yeah. Very true, man.
That's all I wanted to share, brother. I love you, man.
Appreciate you calling, man. Thanks.
You too.
Yeah. So that's a good point, man. So that's one of the things that I've been aware of as well, is I've noticed a couple of Muslims, and outside of the fact that my biggest takeaway on all this, outside of the so-called health scare and things of that nature, and so had some interesting conversations earlier today about that, but the fact that it appears more so now to be a way of just mocking and making fun of the global population. Basically, those that have orchestrated this whole ordeal, they're able to just throw out whatever and make it mandatory and then enforce it, and people comply without really truly questioning, until where, it's comical, but then it's not, because I see how serious this matter is becoming, because those that do not comply will be considered a problem. And all problems, unfortunately, are dealt with in a way that's going to be very uncomfortable. And that's where I think this is ultimately heading. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, yes, this is Breakout from the Prison Planet from Alabama.
Yes, how you doing, my friend? Breakout from the Prison Planet in Alabama. What's on your mind tonight, my friend?
Oh, well, I sent you a super chat about a video I have about a very wearable mask. Mm-hmm. It's available on Amazon. I don't know if you got the super chat, but that's all right.
I'll put it up right now. Yeah, okay.
It's a move that if you wear two of them on top of each other, as I work in a restaurant, I have no choice. I have to wear a mask.
Mm-hmm.
And if you wear two of them on top of each other, it gives the illusion that you've got a full covering, but it's like a mesh mask,
mm-hmm.
but it has rhinestones all over it, and it really does, like, it passes. You can totally breathe through it.
Mm-hmm.
And I have friends who work in healthcare, and we're all on the same page with this, wearing the mask where you do breathe in your CO2 all day,
mm-hmm.
you know, like a cloth mask or an N95, will most likely lead to all kinds of health problems from, you know, too much CO2 in your blood.
Yeah.
But we do all need to look at maybe getting off the grid or doing something soon, because where this is going to end up with the COVID pass or the Immunipass or whatever, to basically say that you've made the standards for the COVID testing, or you've got the vaccine or whatever that's coming.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't all stand up now and get off the grid and get ready for it now, we're going to have to do all this to participate in society, the way I see it.
Right. I do agree. And that's the thing where it appears to be that not too many, but a majority has bought into the narrative that there's a serious concern on the surface that you have to comply with the experts. So all those people out there saying these things, from the mainstream media, they're labeled as experts, and that's what people buy into. And so the time frame to get everybody, you know, to realize that there's another side of the story out there is very small, and that's the biggest problem. Like, so outside of individual actions to get us all together in unison is going to be the issue. So no matter what, it seems like it's not much we can do apart from what we do for ourselves and those around us.
Oh, 100% agree with you. Unfortunately, you know, if everybody at this point were willing to say, you know, why didn't we all wear masks at the beginning of the year when all this broke out, and now we all believe we have to wear them now?
Yeah.
We all just threw our masks in the streets and set them on fire, then this whole thing would be over. But because 90% of the population, 95, is just going to be in lockstep with it,
yeah,
the rest of us have to figure out some sort of solution for our own families and our own communities.
Yeah. Well, hey, man, I appreciate you calling in. Definitely, I put that up on the screen for people to go check it out, my friend. So thanks for tuning in, and thanks for calling in.
Thank you.
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
Bye-bye.
Be good. Yeah, and that's a good call. Good points, my friend. Appreciate you for sharing that. So yeah, the resistance. Like, this is the point where, like, this whole mask situation is the simplest form of being able to stand up and to not comply or to resist or to find a way to not go full steam ahead with their agenda, because it's only going to get worse from this point on. So yeah, finding a way to educate people and to encourage people to think for themselves is going to be the tricky part. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Mike, Tony from Oakland. How you doing, brother?
Doing good, my friend. How you doing tonight? What's on your mind?
Not too bad. The mask thing you can get around if you wanted to. You just tell them that you're asthmatic, and they cannot ask you about what's going on with you or anything like that, because it violates the HIPAA law. That's one way around it. Mm-hmm. The other thing I wanted to talk about, I seen today that the numbers from the hospitals are no longer going to CDC; they're going to the White House.
Yeah, I saw that as well.
Yeah, see, watch how those numbers change.
Yeah, and so it's interesting how, as Fauci has been ostracized from the White House, I think it's been about 2 months apparently since he reported to Trump, and I guess Trump is like probably has realized how that guy was one of the individuals that's, you know, a part of all this, to where he's deciding to call the shots himself and go behind the CDC. But watch the mainstream narrative or the mainstream media, as they're already trying to paint that as like him trying to take over the whole healthcare system and all types of stuff. So they're painting a very bad light to it. And so I think that's going to probably backfire against him in the future.
I think it's more or less that look who's running the White House is Big Pharma.
Yeah. And so what are your thoughts about the occasional announcements every now and then of some advancements with the vaccines? And so I guess Moderna is having some promising, I'm not sure they're even in trials right now. So not quite sure how that's coming along, but the markets seem to respond favorably. So you're saying that you believe the pharmaceutical industry is like basically, you know, lock and step in the White House, huh?
The Big Pharma is running the White House. Look at what they're doing.
Yeah.
Fauci is part of the Klan.
Yeah.
They got us on lockdown. They telling us to put masks on. They telling us where we can go, where we can't go. Social bubbles.
Yeah.
I mean, and then they talking about we got a drug, and next thing you know, whoever the drug's made by, their stock goes up.
Yeah.
And then they said, well, it ain't gonna be ready for another year and a half, another year.
Yeah.
So it's just a game, man, just a game, and it's getting late in the game too. I'm surprised you hadn't said anything about Alistair McLeod, man.
As far as the dollar hit, so his interview on Greg Hunter, that was yesterday or last night or whatever.
Yeah, had two of them like that now, and it's kind of scaring me.
About his call about by the end of this year, the dollar is done for type of call you're referring to.
And banking at the end of the month.
Oh yeah, so yeah, the banking. I've talked about it slightly before, but yet the banking situation is definitely a problem. But yeah, here's another thing about that is that I think this so-called second wave or increase of cases this upcoming fall will be the actual prick of the banking bubble, because they're going to have more issues if there's another full-fledged lockdown, which is inevitable. So, but here's again, the Federal Reserve is their lifeline. So, unless they want it to go under because of them wanting to disrupt this thing before the elections, they can still buy some time with this, I think.
They can buy some time. Did you see the banking numbers that come out yesterday on Goldman, JP, and Wells Fargo?
Yeah, I thumbed through it briefly. I saw a couple of it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of suspect. If all these other smaller banks are going down, and there's only going to be JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs, can they carry the weight of the world on them? I don't think so.
But they're being set up to do so. So the banking is being consolidated down to the very top tier of the two big to fail banks, which will happen to be JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs at the very top. Wells Fargo, that's the bank right there that will be the catalyst to the crumbling of the U.S. banking structure, probably similar to what Deutsche Bank might be doing out in the EU area still. So Wells Fargo is that next Lehman Brothers type of bank. Watch.
Well, I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna let you go. Hong Kong, the U.S. is talking like Hong Kong is, since they sanctioned them, that it's going to be some kind of turbulence in the almighty dollar. So just keep your eye on it.
Yeah, I saw that as well. So, hey, man, I appreciate you keeping us up to date, my friend. Thanks for calling in.
No worries.
Yes, sir.
Have a good one. Bye.
Yeah, man. Good stuff. Good to hear your voice. As always, so give me a call. Let's talk. And as always, highlight at Rethinking the Dollar. And if it stand out, I'll jump on it. And so Breakout from the Prison Planet says, I have a video on a super breathable mask. All right. So I think that's an old one. All right. Appreciate that, my man. I got to get caught up in the chat here. Give me a second. I'm way behind. What else we got here? All right. So here's a super chat from Low Blood Pressure says, boycott Visa, MasterCard, max them out on silver. Low blood pressure, boy. 1 of a million right there. All right, they get this call here. All right, hello, caller. Where are you calling from?
This is Pat from Alabama. How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing good, my friend. How you doing?
Doing well. Thought I'd let some news in the room besides coronal, kung fu flu. God, I like that. Anyway,
yes, sir.
If you'll notice your Weather Channel,
mm-hmm.
we have a lot of dirt in the air coming from the Sahara.
Yeah, I heard about it. I haven't been paying attention to the weather, but give us a rundown, because isn't it it hit in the southern region, right?
Yes, sir. And where has your coronavirus just exploded in Florida and Texas and Alabama?
But yet, I would imagine they would say that because those states opened up first, or they opened up prematurely, that's why there's all of a sudden a case, or them having an increase in cases. So I'd imagine that's what the mainstream media might want us to believe is the reason for it. And I wouldn't be surprised if they say,
"Don't believe the crap."
Yeah.
Don't believe their stuff, man.
Yeah.
Open your eyes and look around and go, could that possibly be the problem? But we're going to have this until after the election. And then after the election, Corona-19 is going to be laying on the street, and we're going to be kicking it around.
So So if it gets to that point, that means that they've already implemented their agenda and they're on to phase 2 or phase 3 of whatever that is, which is the tagging part. Like, so right now they're setting the seeds for contactless everything. Stay away from your family, wear a mask, and just be patient and wait for the vaccine. So if we get to that point, like you're referring to, I mean, the vaccine must be here already.
Well, let me lay another one on you.
Mm-hmm.
They ain't got a vaccine, and they ain't got a chance for a vaccine because they can't find an antibody.
Yeah, I read that as well.
You catch this thing over and over and over.
Right, but
so unless you come up with a good protocol
mm-hmm.
to handle the sickness, because you're not going to stay away from it, then you're toast.
Yeah. And so it's one of those things where whoever comes out with the so-called vaccine, will that be the one that they mass produce? And I think, because I think Trump already ordered from a couple places. They already ordered, several 100 million of something. I'm thinking, how you going to put in an order for something that's not ready yet? So, like that whole process of getting distributed and whatever that, and who's going to be willing to take that first batch of, willingly at that. So that's going to be another issue.
Yeah, but who's going to make a vaccine until they find an antibody that lasts more than 3 months?
Yeah, but they're working on something. So obviously what they're doing is they're either wasting time or they're furthering their agenda, because they're gonna put out something just to get it out there. And it's going to be
wasting time.
Yeah.
They're not wasting time. They're soaking up your tag dollars.
Yeah.
But unless it's a pharmacy, you ain't got no money around for these other businesses.
Right. and that's what they're going to do, man. Well, hey, man, I appreciate you calling, and it's always good to hear your voice, my friend.
Wished I could have been more cheerful this time, big guy.
It's all good,
but
man.
I will buy another T-shirt without the long collar.
I appreciate it. Be good, man.
Have fun. Bye.
Yep. Yes, sir. Good to hear your voice. Okay, so let me get back to the chat. Missed a couple calls. Feel free to give me a call back, and we'll go from there. Alistair McLeod is brilliant. Definitely. Alistair McLeod is a very knowledgeable gentleman. So, yeah, I just hope he's not 100% right about that call about the dollar being done by the end of this year, because if that happens, yeah, it's going to be problems even more so. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mike. It's low blood pressure. Corpus Christi.
Corpus Christi in the building. How you doing, my friend?
Good, man. You just gave me the good news. Finally, the dollar's done. Man, I've been waiting forever.
Are you sure that's what you truly want, low blood pressure?
That's what I want, Mike. I want this dollar destroyed. That's what I want, Mike.
All right, be careful what you wish for, my friend. And when you get it, you might be caught by surprise as to how it really, turns our world upside down beyond what we're already experiencing, which is mild in comparison to what I think would happen if the dollar literally died and was no longer accepted, i.e. credit was gone and everything in between.
Look, we everybody says it's going to be Mad Max, it's going to be this, it's going to be that. Look, you go to Venezuela right now. Yeah, there's still food's still on the shelf, just nobody could buy it. People are not eating each other yet. You know what I mean? It's going to get bad, but it's not going to get as bad as people are still going to be people, Nobody's going to be killing each other on the street,
You know what's funny? You mentioned Venezuela and their issue with their currency, but yet the dollar there, if you can find some, is the equivalent of what we look at as silver and gold here. So if you can get your hands on some dollars down there, you'll be considered in a very good position. So they still do have dollar transactions back and forth as well as cryptocurrencies, and not many people have gold and silver down there. So, but yet the dollar is their safe haven.
Look, Mike, everybody's losing their jobs. They say 40 million people aren't working.
Yeah.
When hyperinflation hits and your day's labor is going to be your day's food or even less, I'm not going to be going to work, Mike. Why am I going to go to work if all my entire paycheck is going to go to just the food, I forget that.
Yeah, and so I would imagine at that same point, the rest of the world will say the same thing, and then that's where people will probably go. They probably go house to house trying to help themselves to whatever it is they can't get in grocery stores.
Not here in Texas, Mike. That ain't going to happen. I hope, Mike. Man, if I see that day, Mike, I don't know. I'm a little sick, but if I see that, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So that's why it's always a good recommendation to have some different types of metal in case you got to use it. So, hey, man, I appreciate you calling, my friend.
All right. I'm trying to get a hang of the super chat thing. I had to get like another credit card because they're all maxed out. So I had to get a new one.
Yeah, man, you gotta save a little something when you need it for emergency sake at least.
All right, Mike. Have a good night.
Yeah, you too. Oh man, good stuff. He said he had to use a different credit card because it's maxed out. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mike, it's Ricardo from Texas again.
Ricardo from Texas, my friend. How you doing? What's on your mind?
I was watching another news program. Hope you don't cuss me out for saying the name, but
go ahead. Go ahead.
True News.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. They're called True News, and they're supposed to be like a Christian news godcast. Mm-hmm. And they got some good info on this program. I don't know if you ever seen them before.
Actually,
go ahead. They have reported two things that I haven't seen on the regular mega news yet. Talking about two of the military bases in Japan has been shut down because of coronavirus. And then there was actually reporting that China is actually spilling the beans on some country called Kazakhstan or something like that. Lord help me try to pronounce or spell it, but but they're coming out with this. They said they got a new deadly flu coming out, and just a matter of 1 week, they got like 60,000 cases, man. I was like, what the world?
So we got. So go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard that or not.
I did not. So we got a new illness out there. You said a new flu.
Yeah, and they talking about it like 3 or 4 times. I'm like, all right, man, we're gonna get Batman juice flu too, or what? What's going on out here?
I heard the bubonic plague is out again. We got this new flu, and yeah. So man, like they throwing everything at us, dog, to try to scare the heck out of us. So yeah, it is what it is, man. It's one of the things where, hey, at this point, bring it on, man. We gotta get this stuff rolling. So you know what I'm saying? No point in holding it back anymore, man. But I'll definitely check that out. I'll check that out. I appreciate you calling, my friend.
All right, you have a good one now. Thank you.
You be good.
All right.
Yeah, man. It's one. If it's not one thing, it's another, man. There's so much stuff they're trying to throw at us, and so it seems like every country will have their own issue of some kind. So yeah, what else we got going on in the chat? Let me see here. Who else? What else? What other story? I got a couple other stories I want to touch on. Let me. And so it says Barley Bro says, rest in peace, Spirit King. Hello, big gold chain. And so Barley Broker, one thing I can attest is that Spirit King, he's still amongst us, but I'll leave it at that. He's still amongst us. He's just one undercover. So but he's still a part of the fold. So just change his name a little bit. But anyway, yeah, he's still out there, man. I can sense his presence right now. Oh man. Anyway, let me get back to the chat. What's going on out here? Says we murder. Oh yeah, okay. The murder hornets, World War, woodchucks, and bubonic plague. Yeah, that's a whole list of stuff. It says nice. What's I'm saying? Colorado. All right, I got another article I wanted to share. Which one is this one here? And so as a result of what's currently going on, I thought this article here was very interesting because it says some 1.24 million people likely applied for jobless benefits early July, and it might get even worse soon. And so outside of course, the narrative from the White House is that things is, we're starting to recover, businesses are opening up, whatever. At the same time, certain states are shutting down. One thing I noticed is that just this little graphic here shows the introduction of the shutdown in March, and it spiked initially, and then over time it dialed down. And so they introduced PPP with all that, whatever. But think about this. More than likely within the next couple of weeks or so, the way that California shut down, even here in Michigan today, the governor mentioned that unless these numbers come down, we're going backwards to phase 3 or phase 2, which means closing more businesses. So this little drop here is going to uptick again to where these same individuals who are either on furlough or going back to work or whatever will be back home again. And so just this whole jobless situation it's going to get worse before it gets better. And it's one of those things where you will never hear that coming from the mainstream media directly unless they're trying to, throw a dig at Trump for him saying the economy's recovering. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Mike. It's Aaron from Iowa again. How are you today?
I'm doing good, my friend. How are you doing? What's on your mind tonight?
Pretty good. I want to talk about a little silver in Venezuela.
Okay, go ahead.
There's a website I've been looking at, bullionrates.com, and I've been kind of watching this for a few months now. Just 2 years ago, well, not even 2 years ago, silver was priced in their currency at 110,000 bolivar.
Mm-hmm.
Currently, it's at 4.2 million bolivar.
Yeah.
So I got me thinking a little bit. What is the minimum wage in Venezuela in their bolivar? They kind of put things in perspective for people. It did a little digging.
Yeah.
The average Venezuelan currently makes 400,000 bolivar a month. Not a week, not a day, a month.
Mm-hmm.
A dozen eggs currently cost 200,000 bolivars. So if you figure that out, 1 ounce of silver can get you 20 dozen eggs, while a month's worth of labor in their currency can only get you 2 dozen. And my main concern is just to let people know we're going to go through this currency reset. If silver goes up to $50, $60, brother, don't sell it. You need to hang on. You need to wait until this currency reset completes. Otherwise, if you sell at $50, you're going to say, yeah, I doubled my money. Yeah, I tripled my money. But you're still going to get hosed in the end, because if it does what Venezuela Bolivar is doing and other currencies around the world, in the end, you're still going to be eating rats for dinner. Yeah. And that's all I got for tonight.
Yeah. Hey, man, I appreciate you.
Have a good one, Mike.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. I'll pull it up on the screen. I'm going to talk about it a little bit. Thanks for calling and bringing that to our attention.
Yeah, Mike, you have a good one, brother.
Yep, you too. So that's I appreciate the call and the recommendation on this website. So I got it up here. And so just look at the difference between holding your national currency and holding something else of true value, which happens to be, in this regard here, silver. And so if people really knew their monetary history, they would know that all national currencies originated as some form of a metal, gold and silver primarily. And then throughout the same processes, our central banks, made it redeemable with paper, then they took it off and it became solely digital with a little bit of paper on top. And so just this right here lets me know that, and also the caller saying that, think about doubling your money. Like, unless you're a trader and you're trading all the products and futures and all the digital stuff, around metals, you should never, in my personal opinion, get rid of your metals for the same currency that's going belly up at this current time. So unless you have an emergency, you got to sell and you're going to take a little something off top of, okay, sure. But yeah, my personal opinion is position yourself to be able to ride this thing through no matter what, so that once all this unravels and the new currency is introduced, and then it's going to have to go through a couple of inflation adjustments itself, it's going to be downgraded severely. Therefore, at that point, you might consider doing something with it. But in the meantime, never that. But it's interesting over the last year. So if you're in Venezuela and you purchase an ounce of silver, it would have cost you 110,000 bolivars. And as of today, it would be 4.2 million bolivars. So think about the transfer of wealth for those that have not into those who do have. So imagine the top tier of society that probably have tangible wealth. Well, it's more likely, I think, is real estate as opposed to metals. But a lot of people here have been robbed by holding that paper stuff and digital stuff solely. So I appreciate you for calling in and sharing that information there. All right, here. Let me get back in the chat. As always, give me a call. Let's talk. Curious to find out what else is going on out there. Lacey says, Mike got big money. That's why his teeth is white. No, it's just the camera. Oh, man. That's interesting. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, it's Stephanie. I'm not supposed to call her right now. From Pensacola, Florida. I'm on my way to Louisiana and then Texas. But I just wanted to notify you that, I don't know if you read or not, Orlando Health has been called out by spiking the numbers as far as the amount of COVID patients.
Yeah. Saying
there were 94%, and it came, to fruition that they verified. It was only 9.4. So those are big numbers.
Yeah.
They're basically fudging the numbers in Florida right now. Mm-hmm. And the other thing that is very upsetting, the media, the fake media nationwide, they're not saying the people that are dying, which is unfortunate either way, young or old. Yeah. But unfortunately, most of these people are older people that are senior citizens with health conditions.
Right. Very true.
And I had to go to the Veterans Hospital a couple of times in the last couple of weeks in Orlando to get prescriptions and have an appointment. Mm-hmm. And, they do temperature check and all that. And there was only maybe 2 or 3 people in the ER that they said suspected COVID, probable.
Yeah.
But, they were having other respiratory conditions, because they were Vietnam veterans with Agent Orange and all that. So, sadly, a lot of veterans that have had Agent Orange are most likely going to get this illness.
Yeah.
And I don't hear anybody talking about this.
Right. Very true. So yeah, I did see that report about the faking of numbers just to hype it up, because every time I look, see either Texas or Florida, this in the mainstream news is, all-time high in cases. So the only concern is just cases. So they want to have the highest number possible to further their agenda of masks and tests and stuff like that. Never talking about deaths anymore and all the stuff you mentioned. So that's something we should hear, because we all know that not everybody is, falling ill to it. So a lot of people may have it, not even know they have it, and be just fine with it.
Well, Florida, as you know, is a hotbed for the presidential election as well.
Yeah.
So, they're attacking DeSantis at every angle, not just Trump, but DeSantis in Florida. And, they're trying to make a lot of waves and a lot of problems in Florida right now because the election is coming up so close.
Right.
But also, I don't know if you heard or not, that former Auburn football coach he won the election in Alabama, and I guess he has to run off in November against that other Democratic incumbent in Alabama to cover Sessions' former seat.
No, I didn't hear about that one. No.
Yeah, it was former Auburn football player coach. But, all I can say, we need more sports people like him involved, because those people know how to strategize and they know how to fight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Hey, I agree.
And that's what we need, people like that in D.C. We need people with that, competitive edge that they get in, you get in sports.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure you're aware of.
Yeah.
You need some of that fight mentality going into D.C., because I hate to say it, but we got a bunch of lame ducks in there right now, especially not just Democrats, but GOP,
Right. Well, hey, I appreciate you.
We need to start standing up for we the people.
Right. Well, I appreciate you calling in. Thanks for sharing that information.
Thank you, Mike. God bless.
Yep, you too. Yeah, man. Good to hear that call there. So yeah, cases. We'll hear about cases until we don't hear about them anymore. And so, yeah. What else is going on out there? Let me missed a couple calls. Feel free to give me a call. It says, Mike, my ears are bleeding. Be nice. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Oh, This is John from Brooklyn, New York.
John from Brooklyn. How you doing, my friend? What's on your mind tonight?
I wanted your opinion because I've been watching your channel for a while now.
Okay.
And you talk about how it's bringing in a new currency because the currency is being devalued.
Mm-hmm.
I have like a different aspect on it.
Okay.
I think it's more of why the currency is being devalued is because of the housing market.
The housing market? Okay.
Huh?
Go ahead.
Because me personally, I live in New York City, Brooklyn. It's very, very, very expensive.
Yeah.
But when I travel towards like rural areas, like I've been to places like in Kansas, Ohio, Tennessee, West Virginia. It's like when I look at the price of the houses, it's not as expensive as New York. It's like, say for instance, if I was to sell my house over here, because the value in the city, to be exact, the lowest you'll find like a house for it will be like around like $500,000.
Yeah.
But if I was to sell the house in New York, and go into a lot of these areas, I would be able to buy at least 4 of them. So I'm thinking that the major cities are the ones that's really going to get hurt.
Yeah, definitely.
The long run, because when you look, for me the problem is it's not the currency itself. It's more of like a majority of the money goes towards rent. That's where a majority of the problem usually comes.
Yeah.
Because when I go grocery shopping, I'm not gonna lie, like the prices for food does like rise up, but the problem is like people don't have enough to buy food because of the rent in the first place.
Right. And I think that has a lot to do with just the different areas you mentioned, the cost of living in those areas. Of course, along the coastal regions, East and West Coast are more expensive than Midwest and further inland. So it's just one of the things where living city life is expensive, man, because of just the density of the population. The more people, the more housing and stuff like that, the greater the cost usually. So that's why people tend to move out to the outside areas, outside cities, and that's when things usually go down. So that's why I think a lot of people are migrating to it at this point.
Okay. So I got a question. Do you think it would be more like it would be better to invest? I know that you say invest in gold and silver. So how long do you think it's going to take before a new currency kicks in?
A new currency. So I don't think it's going to kick in like overnight. I think it's going to be gradually phased in. I think that's what they would like to do. So I think as a part of this stimulus talk and this payment issues we're having, they're going to try to roll out that digital payment system where that's going to be something that's going to run alongside paper and coins, as we're seeing coins being phased out now. And then I had an article about everybody going to digital contactless payment methods, and that's going to be the cash phase. It's going to be weeded out, and then we're going to have solely whatever that payment method is. So I would imagine at least within the next year before they probably introduce it and get it up and running. And then it's going to take time for people to adapt to it. All along they're going to be painting cash is bad. By that time, coins are going to be non-existent or going to be a hot commodity because we won't be able to get it from the stores. So I think people might end up using them as bartering tools amongst themselves outside of, still have been able to actually get your hands on some coins because they're not coming from the mint anymore, probably. So, yeah. But I think we got some time, my friend. I do think this is still time to take advantage of being able to acquire, undervalued assets while we still can, which they're still out there, my friend.
Okay.
But appreciate you calling in, boss man. Thanks for keeping us up to date with what's going on in your neck of the woods.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, be good. Yes, appreciate the call. And so let me check back in via chat. And also give me a call. Let's talk. Curious to find out what else is going on. And let me see. I see some thoughts I want to comment on. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Pay me money bags.
Give me 1 second. Let me cut the volume up. All right, my friend. Pay me money bags. How you doing, boss man?
I'm all right, man. I want to switch the subject just a little bit.
Do me a favor. I think you gotta speak up for me. I got my volume all the way up and it's low on my end.
I said I want to change the subject just a little bit.
Okay, go ahead.
And your negative was, you know what, I'm disappointed. My negative was too. Mm-hmm. What are y'all pastors doing? Because I don't see these pastors exercising their faith. I don't see nothing. Because I sit back and I read a lot, and I would think, if Jesus was here and the disciples and everybody, I think, what would they be doing? Would they be not necessarily breaking rules, but would they be behind closed doors? How far to the people would they really be trying to reach? It's like no God nowhere. Like everywhere I go, like no one is even focused on God.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so that's an interesting subject there, because right now, I think the pastors they are and have been in a primary position of leadership in the country, because people tend to trust their pastors more than they trust a politician, and so there's not much activity that's being publicized in regards to different faith leaders. So that is a problem.
Wow, I mean, it would be good just to lead by example, though. Exercise your faith.
Yeah. I think that as a part of this change is underway, especially if we go into another official second lockdown or worse, I think pastors at that point should be willing to give up that tax exempt status that they've been utilizing for the last 50 years now, and just let their voices be heard. Because if they continue to utilize that and they silence themselves, then there goes their church anyway. So you don't really have much to lose if you're being if your doors are shut by your governor or whatever, and you can't congregate and share the message, the true message anyway. So I think eventually most pastors will have to let that go and just let it rip and just get out and share their message as well as the gospel itself. So that's what's needed most, I think.
I agree, man. I appreciate you, man.
Yes, sir. All right, be good. So yeah, that's another point. That's another good thing. I think we need to eventually, it'll eventually happen, because I think the pastors will, for those that have not been quiet, hopefully pretty soon that we'll have more being vocal on all this that's going on. And that'll be something I think that I definitely will highlight more on the channel as I see it, because we won't hear anything. We won't hear any real good news from anywhere else, I don't think. So yeah. All right, what else we got? I saw some about Kanye West in here. Man, Catholic Church too busy applying for PPP loans. Yeah, we're at the point of the great falling away. Yeah, our pastor went full Black Lives Matters and alienated many people. Really? Okay, so that's different. Yeah. Bragging about how he's $68 million back in taxes, pretending to be a church now. Creflo Dollar might change his name to Creflo Satoshi. So Barlight Broker says, my pastor started the Trump talk and lost my respect, or at least my attention. And so, okay, good. So, okay, he started the Trump talk. So what exactly does that mean? And so when I mean pastors being more vocal, I'm just more so share what you feel led to share. Like, don't feel like you have to put a silencer in your mouth because you don't want to cross that bridge of how, the whole idea of politics and the church are supposed to be separate. I personally don't agree with that. And so I think it'd be a great way to bridge that gap and to share whatever your spiritually led opinion or whatever words you might have gotten from the Lord, share that with your congregation, because people need to hear that. But the biggest problem with that is, and what I kind of get from your statement is that because people are so opinionated, as well as either it's a two-tier political system, you're either right or left type of thing. Most people are going to take offense to it and won't stay in the middle and investigate both sides of the story. So a lot of people will take offense to it anyway. So you might lose your congregation no matter what. But that's a chance I think you should be willing to take, because no matter what, you have nothing to lose at this current moment and where this is heading. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Mike.
Hello.
Mike.
Yeah, how you doing?
Yo.
Yeah, do me a favor.
Hey, it's Barlight Broker.
Barlight Broker. Do me a favor. Mute the YouTube because I'm hearing a double echo.
I did.
Okay, go ahead. What's in your mind?
Oh, nothing. I just wanted to tell you about the pastor and the Trump thing.
Okay.
You know, Trump's going to come and go, but God's always going to be there.
Yeah. Yeah.
He doesn't need to pick sides to offend people, you know?
Mm-hmm. Very true.
People are, a lot of people are politically brainwashed, and, you know, you don't want to divide people in your church that are gonna be together and work together over something like that, because obviously Trump ain't running the show.
Right.
You know?
Right. So watch this. So I think there's a way of doing it without actually having to use, you know, individual candidates. You can talk about the primary issues that each individual stands for, and based upon the fruit that they show and the fruit that they've demonstrated, just basically highlight a couple things and let people choose. So you don't have to say go vote for him. Just list all the things good and bad and let people decide, and let the Lord determine where he would have them to cast a vote if it's about that. So I wouldn't be like up there Trump or Joe. It's like, what does the word of God say about these individuals that we're being given, and then go from there.
Right, which I mean that's a good way to go about it too. But realistically, you should be telling them to get ready for about it. Telling them to get ready because anything could happen at this point.
Yeah, very true.
If all hell breaks loose, it's not going to matter who's president.
Right.
He's going to be long ways away, and he ain't going to do nothing for you.
Right. I agree with that. I agree with that one as well. So anyway it go, I just think these are some tough talks that we should be willing to have now, and try to overcome our own personal agendas or opinions and party affiliations and all that other stuff. Because at this point, all parties, they're all on the same team against us. So, yeah.
He should be preaching. I don't know how to say that. He should be preaching that everyone stands together. You know, God's people, instead of preaching the pick a side, or I like this guy, or I don't like that guy. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, man. I agree.
Man, it was great calling in, man.
Good to hear your voice, my friend. Appreciate you, and thanks for your support for the wait. Thank you.
Hey, no problem, brother.
Yes,
thanks.
Sir. Be good. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mike. It's Matt from Seattle.
Matt from Seattle. How you doing, my friend? What's on your mind tonight?
I'm doing good. Well, okay. So I got a question for you.
Okay.
We're coming up to an election.
Okay.
Big one, and typically the market likes to price in, both results.
Mm-hmm.
Market's I don't know, 10%, a little less than from the all-time high now.
Mm-hmm.
Nasdaq's at an all-time high. We just heard we put some sanctions on China regarding Hong Kong when the China trade deal turns out it's very vulnerable, in my opinion. If China comes out and says it's off, then what? That took us from. So my question is, do you try to trade this stuff at all, or do you take any steps to either protect yourself from the pricing in? I don't believe that Trump losing is priced in at all, or the Chinese trade deal.
Well,
being off the table.
So great question, man. So as far as the pricing in the activity based upon the news we receive and all the events happening around the world, I think as a result of this last little bit of a small correction, there are no more markets. The fundamentals are gone. They're everything we've known from prior experiences, I think, is out the window because of the current environment. It's a global event right now, and so every news that comes out, even the cases, it's good news. So we're so disconnected from reality to where I don't personally gamble. I don't, speculate. I don't gamble. I don't have the knowledge base to do such at the magnitude of a lot of investors and traders that might do it. So there's definitely opportunities to make gains on all this stuff out here. But because it's so iffy and you never know when they're going to pull the plug, I think at any minute now, because of this election, as you referenced, they can either pull the plug if it's looking too favorable, or pull the plug just because they're ready for the complete reboot and reset and everything else. So I don't gamble. I just personally just stick to what I happen to know, which is wait. And I do like speculating in other things such as the cryptocurrencies or whatever. But other than that, I personally, I just don't have any background or experience in it to where I want anything to do with it right now. Now, once it crashes, once everything crashes to the bare bones, back to whatever the correction will end up being, then that's when I'll probably look to diversify and back into some things that have potential at going up in the next currency or whatever. So, but yeah, I think we got some time for that happens.
I think there's a lot of people that are still, a lot of people's family members, parents, things like that are still in the market.
Oh, definitely.
And I think the smartest, obviously the smartest in retrospect, especially, it's going to be obvious that the best thing to do right now would be to get out of the markets and sit this one out.
Right.
And if you miss 10%, even, shit, it could be a blow off top. It could go up 30%, whatever.
Yeah.
But the downside risk is just so huge. And not to mention that it just seems that we're being set up for a banking crisis.
Yeah.
And I'm actually considering pulling as much cash out of the bank as I can, just in the event that to protect myself from a bail-in type situation.
Right.
I know that it's paper. Try to cash that in as much as possible, reasonably, for weight, like you said. But I just don't really hear people talking about. This is getting really close.
Yeah.
This election's not too far away now, and we have. I just feel like we're kind of the eye of the storm right now.
Right. I believe the risk far outweighs the rewards in the old financial markets is being manipulated and propped up and weaponized by the currencies around the world. So, yeah. And so one of the benefits of the CARES Act, I think, is them allowing people to get access to some of their retirement funds. You can withdraw, all of it if need be. And so I think that right there, the people who have taken advantage of that may not be disappointed, in the end, because no matter what, based upon the response of the Federal Reserve, you'll never really be able to save enough to live comfortably in a world where they've committed to printing and creating as much as needed. So you will not outsave the type of currency they're going to be creating. So no matter what, your purchasing power is done. So, yeah, that's my opinion, my friend. But, hey, appreciate you calling.
All right, take care.
Yeah, be good. Yeah, man, that is the real deal there. So I think one of the benefits of the CARES Act is that, if you choose to, if you don't want to ride the wave and ride the roller coaster of 30,000, 40,000, 50,000 dial until it crashes down to, I think, Charles Nenner was on Crusher Street with Kenneth Amaduri, and he's talking about the 5,000. He's still saying that, the Dow is going to 5,000 no matter what. It probably will go up a little bit, but it's going to 5,000. So, yeah, imagine, being on that roller coaster ride when the thing crashes down. Because one thing people don't really realize that they based the current activity upon prior performance of the markets drop, they recover 6-7 years and whatever. So it's cyclical. But yet this one here, I don't think it's cyclical at all. I think it's going to be a remaking, a reshift, and everything like we've never witnessed because of everything lining up perfectly for complete destruction of the financial markets. So it's just my little 2 cents there, man. What else you got here? I saw some stuff out here about credit cards again. Be your own central bank. Yeah, be your own central bank and also depository. Somewhat. Israel calls for all Jews worldwide to come back to Israel. Something is happening. Interesting. That I did not know. If that is true, that's very alarming. And so here else is something here about that area. So it says, under fire over coronavirus policy, Netanyahu announces money for all. And so this is, Netanyahu is going to be giving out some stimulus as well. So every country, it looks like every country is now into the stimulating the public while also bailing out the financial sectors in their country, I'm assuming. So, yeah, I'll probably got to do some more research on that about calling everybody back to the country. But definitely very interesting times, my friends. Very interesting times. Let me see. I saw a question that says, Mike, you got pretty well talking calls, as smooth as I've been seeing on YouTube. Barlight Broker, I appreciate you, my friend. So, yeah, the goal with the RTD Live Talk, man, is just to give people a chance to call in and share your thoughts. Because right now, it's always good to be able to connect with a community of like-minded individuals. So that's why I encourage, call in and share what's on your mind and let's talk it out. And because we're all in the same thing together, man, I want to just make sure I help provide people with a voice. It says, Mike, you are going back to Israel to meet the Moshiach. Okay. Yeah, I do believe that. I'm not. I know I would be willing to say we got some time before that occurs, but yeah, I definitely plan on making my way there officially. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mike O'Dane Real from Kansas City, Missouri. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, my friend. What's on your mind tonight?
Hey, Mike, I was just sitting here. I was listening. I was noticing, you see how they're mandating that every store now has, you got to wear a mask?
Yep.
What about the stores that, like, they want to give people the options? Because out here they're telling, like, our mayor is saying, hey, if you see, like, a store that's not doing the mask, you got to report report that store so we can fine them and all that stuff. What about those folks who believe this to be, like just a common flu? But, they're not telling people that's coming in with a mask to take their mask off. They're like, it's up to you. That's your choice.
Yeah.
So I was just thinking, I'm like, that's crazy though. And then you're basically telling them to rat that business out. That way, they could get fined or they could shut them down. So it's more of a control, which it is a control.
Yeah. And so as you're talking, it brought to mind an article I was reading earlier about how here in the Metro Detroit area, a lot of police departments in the surrounding suburban Detroit area, they're getting calls about, people calling 911 as if it's an emergency, saying that, such and such in the store is not wearing a mask. And so people are actually calling 911 as if it's an emergency and ratting on people. And so the article here talks about, Detroit police is being flooded with calls because people are, taking it very seriously. So, yeah, it's one of the things, like I mentioned before, if you don't take it seriously, you're going to be shunned upon. They're going to try to call you out and paint you as being a person that's selfish and you don't care about nobody else but yourself. And, yeah, it's a part of the divide and conquer. And they are clearly dividing us. And if we don't stand up and resist somehow, some way, and continue to share our viewpoints, they're going to conquer us as well, man.
Mike, it's going to end up, hey, it's who believe in God and who believe in man, And it's going to be spiritual war.
Yeah, and that's a given. It's already that's already underway. That's what's going on behind the scenes. And so outside of this, the colors that we're being, thrown out there, the black versus white, Black Lives Matters, and all these issues, it's a spiritual warfare under the surface that, is going on. So to be expected, man. But those in Christ are on the winning side. So I'm gonna stick with that, man.
All I gotta say is, if your mask is so good, why you worried about me? You know what I mean?
Exactly. You good. You safe. You saved yourself. So, hey, man, appreciate you calling, my friend.
Hey, all right, Mike. Have a good one.
Be good. Yes, sir, man. That's what it is, man. So, yeah, we're at the hour point, man. And as always, it's good to connect and hear from you guys. So I appreciate all those that called in, first timers or not, as well as those that are just watching, chime in via chat. If you haven't chimed in, just let us know real quick before we dial back where you're watching from. Any new viewers. I want to make sure I acknowledge my new viewers out there just so they know they're appreciated and welcome to call in whenever they're ready. So, but the show is designed for you guys to have a voice. So with that being the case, we're about to get ready to dial back. I appreciate you. If you've enjoyed the back and forth, don't be afraid to hit that button beneath, the little thumbs up or thumbs down, whatever floats your boat. And then in the description, all types of information as well as resources to further educate yourself and those around you. So, yeah, other than that, be blessed, be safe, and Lord willing, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.